In our previous videos, we've touched the surface on many concepts to get the viewer familiar, but we have not provided much commentary as we want to encourage the viewer to think for themselves, as well as do their own research on the information presented. We've also used clips from YouTube media outlets as well as actual CIA agents to confirm some of this information. There's a popular theory that we all live in a simulation. Whether this is true or not, the matrix-like aspect of our reality is undeniable, as shown in pretty much all of the videos showcased on this channel. This not only points to a matrix-like aspect of this reality, but in some cases a game-like aspect.
For real though, but a game is a game. You know what I'm saying? How can a nigga change a game when the game is already made up? No.
If the goal was to completely deceive us, then why leave so many clues or any at all? Is it necessary for the rules of the game? Or is it a form of magic, hypnosis, or predictive programming? I've learned the lucid among us are those who learn to ask the right questions and think outside of the box. Some people might think, what does magic or cults have to do with CIA anyway? All while disregarding the fact that the CIA itself has a substantial paranormal department, which implies they take the metaphysical reality seriously, and as you study ancient traditions, you can start to make some startling connections to our modern society, which then makes it less far-fetched that the governments of this reality also still take part in some ancient traditions globally. They are aware that more and more people are becoming aware and interested in this information, so they've even incorporated it into their storylines. We are currently watching this reality in the same way wrestling fans watch wrestling without kayfabe. Because of this, there are no shortage of internet gurus quote-unquote exposing the secrets of the universe, many of whom are in fact plants and agents themselves, which should be obvious as you should ask yourself. Do you genuinely have a deeper understanding of this reality once you've digested their content? Do they really need jewelry and mixtapes? Have they broken everything down in a way that you are able to apply to your own personal life or share with others while sounding completely sane? Are they trying to sell you merch in the process? I mean, maybe we should follow suit. The money would help, and I think some of our thumbnails would look pretty cool on a t-shirt. But jokes aside, the truth is none of us 100% know what's really going on. We can speculate at best, so be fully skeptical in general, and particularly of anyone claiming so with arrogance and certainty. While creating videos, doing research, and living life, I come across tons of connections. However, without the proper context, it can easily come off like this.
You ain't had no...
Wait! Bullhorn, what did you just say? You said, melt in your mouth. Quick! What else melts in your mouth?
M&M!
Exactly. And not in your hands. And who makes M&M's?
The white man.
Oh, dig. Mars Candy Company make it. Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah.
Those white
Mars
men.
Candy.
Mars is also
The Roman god of war. That's what I'm talking about.
who is the Greek god of war.
Ares. Ah.
Now, you take Mars and spell it backwards, drop the S.
What's that?
Ram. That's right. And Ram is the zodiacal sign for Aries. Oh, now dig. Aries' half-sister is Athena.
Now you get it.
Whoa. Athena?
Which is the capital of Greece.
And as we all know, zodiacal astronomy was created by the Greeks in
785 BC.
And 785 is the area code of Topeka. Oh my God. 785 is the area code to Topeka, Kansas.
Go Kansas.
Take that, spell it backwards, drop the S.
Snake doctor, yeah!
Yes!
Yeah!
And brothers, who is the Greek demigod of medicine who believed that snakes' tongues had mystical healing powers?
My tongue's
Asclepius, of course. He had a staff with snakes intertwining all around that bitch. They called Asclepius' staff. It's a symbol the medical field uses to this day.
I've seen it.
Now, what legend involving snakes is in both Greek and Roman mythology? Come on. It involves Asclepius' own father.
Apollo.
Yeah, thanks, lady.
That's right. Apollo slew the serpent at Delphi, which was a big-ass snake.
And what, brothers, is the biggest snake in the world?
The South American anaconda.
What she said.
Anaconda malt liquor.
And what is the slogan for Anaconda Malt Liquor? Anaconda Malt Liquor gives you woo! Gives you what? Woo! And who else is famous for?
Woo! Little Richard.
Who?
Little Richard.
So, what they really saying is,
Anaconda malt liquor gives you Little Richard.
what is another word for Richard?
But for those who have fully digested all the content on this channel and are now ready to go a bit deeper, grab your sunglasses and let's go down the rabbit hole. We have touched on Nickelodeon in part 4 of our Bacchanalia series, which was taken off YouTube. It is currently on Patreon if you want to check it out. I believe there to be some kind of metaphorical significance to the channel's trademark sliming. I've even noticed that recently many slime museums for children have popped up. These are places where children can go to play with slime and be slimed. I don't really understand the appeal, but after visiting it becomes clear there is some kind of deeper agenda. The workers of this particular company in New York claim to even have the ghost of a dead child at their location, with different workers claiming to hear and witness abnormal behavior they believe to be related to the actions of a child. Despite having some interesting and coincidental connections, sliming having some occult significance seems like it could be a reach, until I found this video on Nickelodeon's official YouTube channel.
And now, a brief history of Nickelodeon slime. Let's travel back to 1979, where a little show called You Can't Do That on Television featured the great green gelatinous goop. They had a sketch where a kid was locked up in jail. They told him not to pull on his shackles, but he did, and he got slimed. It was a hit, but it was also a mess. So the kids got 25 to 50 extra bucks for every sliming, which is a lot of green, kinda. Pondering what the potent paste is made of? What do you think?
I just don't know.
Let your imagination soar high above the clouds, spread your wings, and let your creativity blossom.
The Pegasus has connections to the occult, which I might touch on in a later video. In the Bible, God decided to flood the earth to cleanse it of wickedness. After the floodwaters receded, God made a covenant with Noah, symbolized by the appearance of a rainbow. This covenant was a promise to never again destroy the earth with a flood. It is also a symbol that can represent the bridge between heaven and earth, or the divine and mortal realms as seen in Thor Ragnarok.
Anyway, after You Can't Do That on Television, Nickelodeon was slime and slime was Nickelodeon. It was everywhere. Double Dare, Wild and Crazy Kids, Figure It Out, Slime Time Live, Brain Surge, Webheads, and in your home. That's right, consumer products. Toys, shampoos, furniture, and cereal. And Nickelodeon Studios even had a geyser that spewed the goo every 15 minutes. Getting slimed became everyone's childhood dream. But the ultimate slimings happened at the Kids' Choice Awards. They brought slime to a whole new level by taking celebrities that looked like this and making them look like this, which made it even cooler to look like this. They've done all kinds of stuff with slime. Big stuff. Really big stuff. Epic stuff. So there you have it. Slime is here to stay. You can even get slimed today. And who knows what the future holds. Pet slime? Slime for president? Slime cities? Or maybe even slime taking over the...
Oh, Nick. Nick-el-odeon.
Now Drake has a new single. The name is Slime You Out, and it features the singer SZA. What's significant about this record is the art used for the single is a photo of Halle Berry being slimed at the Nickelodeon's Kids' Choice Awards. I believe this is also part of the puzzle once you consider the overall context. We also see the mermaid water spirit connection, as Halle Berry sounds quite similar to Halle Bailey, who is the actress who plays Ariel in The Little Mermaid. I believe these names can be broken down etymologically as well. Rapper Kendrick Lamar has a lyric on his song Money Trees that states Halle Berry or Hallelujah. Pick your poison, tell me what you do. Halle means to sing praise, so I believe the nature of this question has a deeper meaning. Berry meaning fruit, and since apple also etymologically means fruit, we can look at berry as a symbol for knowledge. As the fruit of the Bible is never explicitly detailed to be an apple as we know it today. So we can now look at the question posed as praise Yahweh or praise light, knowledge, or Lucifer. Drake is also connected to Nickelodeon through the show Degrassi, in which he starred and that aired on the channel at some point. Another deity associated with the title Nick is the goddess Nyx, who is the personification of the night, among other things. She features in a number of early cosmogonies, which place her as one of the first deities to exist. In the works of poets and playwrights, she lives at the ends of the earth, and is often described as a black-robed goddess who drives through the sky in a chariot pulled by horses. I believe this connects her to the Pegasus and Halle Bailey, as Bailey refers to wall enclosing an outer court. I believe this all connects back to the story of the flood that wiped out humanity, but I will get into that in a later video. Nyx is represented by the owl, which is also the logo for Drake's OVO record label. I also believe rapper Lil Wayne may also be connected to this deity, as he has the words Fear God tattooed on his eyelids, which could be a homage to the night goddess. They also have a label mate who also bears the name Nick. I believe this footage from Drake's most recent concert may confirm this theory.
all my heart and my soul, you know, in my writing. But at the end of the day, I am being guided by some other power. I don't know what it is.
At closed doors, a lot of six God worshiping. Yeah. We got London on the track. This is all God's doing, man, you can't plan it. But if the devil's in the details, then I'm satanic. Devil's working overtime. Voodoo spells put on my life.
I think what the sixth god is trying to say is he is really good with numbers. I don't usually go into gematria because it can be confusing to some, and I want to dedicate a separate series to it. But if you assess Drake's script from the numbers, you will see literally anything you can possibly associate him to has a numerological pattern. Here you see some of the phrases that equal the number 6. If you turn the 6 upside down, you see a similar pattern with the number 9. Even if you switch to Hebrew, you will still see a pattern. And strangely enough, anything that I could think of that didn't come out to the number 6 or 9 came out to the numbers 12 or 21, which is 12 backwards, which equals 3.
Drake is signed to his own imprint, October's very own. The logo of the label is an owl. Let's dissect the deeper meaning behind the owl. Upon research, it said that October is the month of the owls. Moonlight prowls showcase the nocturnal raptor. Researchers reveal that technically birds are raptors, which would make the owl fall under the category of a raptor. And how ironic is it that Drake is the global ambassador for the Toronto Raptors? Recently, the female singer SZA in an in-depth interview, where she finally admitted to dating Drake back in 2007. The interview went ridiculously viral when she compared the rapper Drake to a female character named Regina George from a very popular movie called Mean Girls. Many people speculated whether or not if she was implying that Drake is really gay. The masses would then laugh as Drake again became the butt of the joke, but that would be quite amusing coming from her considering that she is secretly a man herself. Moving right along, there was another character in the film, who I truly believe SZA was subliminally comparing Drake to, was a character by the name of Damian Lee. The elites also slowly prepped us for Drake's hip-hop run, which some may call predictive programming, but in 2006 and 2007 was right around the time the popular show Drake and Josh came to an end, and Drake would emerge. Drake Bell, who decided to use his middle name as his stage name instead, just like Drake, was born the exact same year as Drake. Drake Bell's parents were also divorced when he was 5, just like Drake. They both were high school dropouts and musicians. Playing alongside him was a character by the name of Josh who was Jewish, could go for a knockoff version of Drake. The TV show Drake and Josh was based around two step-brothers Drake and Josh, who lived with Drake's biological mom, Audrey. Drake's personality was cool, popular, and was a ladies' man. Josh was intellectual, clumsy, and awkward. All of the personality traits that describes both Drake and Josh are also the same personality traits that describe the rapper Drake. Back to the TV show, Degrassi. In the show Degrassi, Drake's character's name was Jimmy Brooks, who was a good basketball player. Ironically, Drake, on social media, has been showing us how he is such a good basketball player.
Nickelodeon's most popular character and television show is SpongeBob SquarePants. It's an animated comedy television series that premiered on July 17, 1999. It was created by alleged marine science educator and animator Steven Hillenburg. The show chronicles the adventures of the title character SpongeBob and his aquatic friends in the underwater city of Bikini Bottom. Anyone who has watched the Netflix film They Cloned Tyrone, they will remember the scene where the kid tells character Fontaine that he reminds him of the character Squidward from SpongeBob SquarePants. This is an important reference as the film itself is a commentary on how America programs its public, specifically black people, in a way that funnels them into predictable or stereotypical behavior. The reference to Squidward is important as, like the protagonist Fontaine, Squidward is an essential part of the SpongeBob SquarePants narrative. Not only does he act as the show's straight man or spectrum opposite to SpongeBob and his antics, but Squidward is often shown in the show to be experiencing an existential crisis. Sometimes it's as simple as a sarcastic remark or complaining about his job, but in some cases there are full episodes dedicated to this, and in all cases of these Squidward-centric episodes, they usually conclude with him having a sort of spiritual awakening and deeper understanding of life. In a way, I believe Squidward is meant to represent the viewer or average person. I would suggest going back to watch some of these episodes, not only for the context of this video, but in general, as I've noticed many older cartoons around this time period do a great job at presenting these profound messages in children's content, almost as if they wanted you to redigest them as an adult. And in many ways, I believe that's what the character Squidward represents. You might find that you relate more to Squidward as you watch the show as an adult, and it's even possible that some of the themes that might have escaped you as a child hit home now, as I will show you at the end of this video. I don't believe this to be a reach either. As I've seen other videos catch this connection, I didn't watch them yet as I don't want it to interfere with the creation process of this video, so it's possible they mean it in a different way, but let's go a bit deeper. Tyrone means king. Lord, sovereign Fontaine means hollow or to cast. To pour, related to fountain squid of unknown origin. Related to squirt, probably due to a squid's ink jets. Squirt is to spit water, like the word fountain. While doing the research for the meaning of sponge, one definition I came across was parasitical dependent, another connected to the word spongos, which is essentially a fungus or mushroom. This made me think of the toxic plasma series, and after doing more research, it states sponges are not considered a fungus, the reason for this being that animals consume while funguses decompose. While looking up what sponges eat, I've learned sponges are mostly filter feeders, and they eat detritus, plankton, viruses, and bacteria. They also absorb dissolved nutrients directly from the water through their penacoocyte cells, with each cell responsible for getting its own food. This to me makes the sponge a multidimensional creature, but we will touch on this in a later series I'm working on. I believe one of the ways this reality slimes you out is by telling you exactly what it is up front. Maybe after doing oaths to secrecy, this is the only way these creators can speak to their audience. Plus, if they told you flat out, you would probably call them crazy anyway. Most people choose not to see it. So what if Nickelodeon slimes you by telling you exactly what's going on its most popular television show? What if SpongeBob is the Truman Show? Well, you know they say kids are like a sponge. What if Nickelodeon has been trying to tell you something long before they lived TV?
The show SpongeBob SquarePants is not what you think it is. There is a secret group of puppet masters who are always watching the citizens of Bikini Bottom and pulling the strings. Hidden within Bikini Bottom are spies that keep an eye on the characters and make sure everything goes to plan. This is a conspiracy that will fundamentally change the way you look at the show SpongeBob SquarePants, and I believe it's all actually intended by the creators, and I'm gonna prove it. This is the television theory. To start this theory, we have to go back to the very beginning of the very first episode of SpongeBob SquarePants.
Ah, the sea. So fascinating. So wonderful. Here we see Bikini Bottom, teeming with life, home of one of my favorite creatures, SpongeBob SquarePants. Yes, of course he lives in a pineapple, you silly.
So let me ask you a question. Who's speaking in this clip? Well, obviously that's just the narrator. We hear his voice many times throughout the show.
Ah, Goo Lagoon. A stinky mud puddle for you and me. Ah, the Krusty Krab. Through these doors pass all the many kinds of undersea life. Pop's boating school, where diligent students learn the rules of the road.
But who exactly is the narrator? Well, he's just the narrator, right? We're not supposed to think about who he is or why we're hearing him. Lots of shows have narrator framing devices we're not supposed to think about.
Caillou was amazed that Mommy had made a rainbow, just like in the picture.
But there's something different about this narrator. He sounds a lot like he's narrating a nature documentary.
The ocean. From above, a simple blanket of water. But below, a complex world full of color, life, and wonder.
Ah, the sea. So fascinating. So wonderful. Here we see Bikini Bottom, teeming with life.
What if I told you that he's not just some random disembodied voice? He's an actual character in this universe.
Here we are again at the Bikini Bottom boating school. Today is once again the day of SpongeBob's boating school exam, but more importantly, this is the last test for the year. And if SpongeBob does not pass this one, it means another whole year of boating school!
SpongeBob literally crashes into the fourth wall, and we actually get to see the narrator and the camera he's been filming with. The show SpongeBob SquarePants is not just a cartoon. Everything we see is a part of a nature documentary television show being filmed by scuba divers. And if you're still not convinced, I searched really hard and found an old SpongeBob DVD bonus feature that basically confirms everything.
Since before time even existed, land-loving scientists have tried to learn the secrets of intelligence. Their studies led them to the sea, where the citizens of one undersea colony demonstrated a genius so enormous, the scientists felt compelled to record their actions for use in teaching mankind how to live better. The name of this miraculous place? Bikini Bottom. Poring over the mass of brainy masterminds scattered about this strange land, the scientists chose 6 Bikini Bottom residents at random to study. As the scientists marveled at the advanced knowledge and superior intellect of these 6 creatures,
I went to college!
They rolled their cameras and took notes. And now, finally, we can learn all of the things that these smarty pantsuses have to teach us. Life lessons from Bikini Bottom.
I don't know how it can get any more clear than that. Now, if you rewatch the show with this new information in mind, some things start to take on a whole new meaning. Throughout the series, there's this weird, unexplained running gag of a human hand interfering with the characters. It's even in the beginning of every episode in the intro for the show. Maybe the filmmakers are doing a bit more than just studying these characters. The hand seems to mostly interfere just to maintain the health and safety of the characters, like treating SpongeBob for the suds.
Well, Mr. SquarePants, it seems you have the suds. Are you ready for your treatment? Oh, Hans!
It makes sense that the filmmakers wouldn't want to risk the safety of their main character. After all, there's no show without SpongeBob, but that's not the only reason why they interfere. Season 3, Episode 16, I Had an Accident, is infamous for having one of the most absurd, confusing endings in the entire show. It ends with a real gorilla suddenly coming out of a Patrick costume and attacking the characters.
A real gorilla? Huh?
Then as soon as SpongeBob begins to question the logic of the scene, this happens.
What's a gorilla doing underwater in the first place?
Well, it's funny you should. I mean, see, George, they're onto us!
Let's get out of here.
SpongeBob is a weird show, but this has always stuck out as being just a little too weird. But knowing what we know now, I think I can explain what's going on here. This isn't a real gorilla. Every other land animal we've seen underwater wears a helmet and is drawn in a cartoony style. The gorilla is shown in a live-action style, and the only time we ever see live-action characters is when they're human. So I believe both the gorilla and the horse he rides away on are humans wearing costumes. The filmmakers set this whole thing up just to make the episode more entertaining. It's starting to seem like this isn't strictly a nature documentary anymore, it's more of a reality TV show made for entertainment. Who knows what other absurd elements of the show are actually put there by the filmmakers to make the show more entertaining and profitable. Although, based on the people's reaction, it doesn't always seem to pay off. But how far will the filmmakers go to make the show more profitable?
Saturday morning in Bikini Bottom. SpongeBob is watching his favorite Saturday morning show, The Adventures of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, enjoying a bowl of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy bland cereal, and wearing the official Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy Blackfist biters.
If we think of this as a television show, this sounds an awful lot like a product placement. I mean, listen to how the narrator specifically says the full names of the products.
The Adventures of Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy bland cereal, Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy Blackfist biters.
Why don't you let me fix you some of this new Mococo drink? All natural cocoa beans from the upper slopes of Mountain Nicaragua, no artificial sweeteners.
What the hell are you talking about? Who are you talking to?
Maybe the Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy TV show is actually from the surface world. They are human after all. It makes sense that the filmmakers would choose to highlight these popular superhero characters. The more they show, the more they're gonna sell Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy merchandise. Hang on a second, why are Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy the same size as all the fish in Bikini Bottom, even though humans are always shown as massive compared to fish? Whatever, I'll come back to that one later. The show doesn't even just hide product placements. In the episode Model Sponge, they literally trick SpongeBob into making a commercial for a human product.
I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. Director.
Very well. Lose the pants! Hans, there's my star!
What's happening? What's happening?
In this scene, you'll be cleaning bathroom fixtures.
Okay, so where's my cleaning utensil?
Don't you get it? You are the cleaning utensil. High speed!
Oh no, your bathroom is a disaster. Get it cleaned up fast with the new sponge. Household chores are a snap with new sponge. It cleans sinks. Just look at that shine.
This is just like in real life how SpongeBob is such a popular character that he's used to sell tons and tons of products. So far I've shown you that the show SpongeBob SquarePants is actually a documentary television show, but the creators continually interfere to push their own agendas and make more money. But that brings us to an important question. Do the characters know they're in a television show? Let's go back to that clip where SpongeBob hits the cameraman.
It means another whole year of boarding school!
What happened?
Oh, nothing, SpongeBob. You just struck another pedestrian.
Mrs. Puff calls him a pedestrian, which sounds more like she thinks he's just some random Bikini Bottom citizen. The different types of marine life in SpongeBob are so diverse and weird looking that it's not too hard to believe that the characters just think these filmmakers are another weird type of fish. And back to the gorilla episode, the gorilla and the horse immediately get nervous and run away when SpongeBob questions what's going on.
Well, it's funny you should... see, George, they're onto us!
Let's get out of here.
Almost like the creators don't want the characters to be aware their lives are being interfered with. Now, there isn't a ton of footage of the characters interacting with the filmmakers, but I dug really, really deep and found the smoking gun that answers all of our questions. This is an old commercial from 2004 made to promote the SpongeBob movie.
SpongeBob, what kind of jellyfish is that?
It's not a jellyfish, Patrick. It's a spaceship.
Hey guys, it's Carlos from The Zone. I was wondering if you could answer a few questions.
Questions? Run for your lives!
No, Pat, don't you see? It wants to learn about our world, and it's chosen us.
What? Yay! We've been chosen.
A submarine comes down to SpongeBob and Patrick to ask questions to promote the new movie. SpongeBob and Patrick are clearly confused by this and think the submarine is some kind of alien. They also have no idea that they're the stars of a movie.
Well, thanks guys. We'll see you in the movie.
Bye!
Movie? What's that?
I don't know.
So I think it's pretty clear at this point that the characters are unaware their lives are being filmed and interfered with. But there are some characters that have to have some level of awareness. For example, the Dr. Fish that told the human hand to treat SpongeBob, and the Director Fish that directed the commercial for the human world. What makes these characters so special? First off, the Director Fish isn't actually from Bikini Bottom. Before he directed this commercial, we saw him as a citizen of New Kelp City in the episode Whatever Happened to SpongeBob. Out of all the characters they could have used, they specifically chose a character from out of town. Almost like the filmmakers didn't want to use anyone in Bikini Bottom so they wouldn't risk everyone finding out about the television show. Then there's the Dr. Fish. We don't know where he originally came from, but he's an extremely suspicious character. Usually he's purple, but sometimes he's orange, sometimes he's purple with orange hands, sometimes he's a pirate, and he bears a striking resemblance to Dr. Manowar from the Jellyfish Convention.
And now it only hurts when you touch it.
Why does he have so many different disguises and identities? What is he hiding? I believe hidden throughout Bikini Bottom are spies like this who are aware they're in a television show and keep tabs on the main characters and make sure everything goes to plan. There's so many suspicious characters in Bikini Bottom that it could literally be anyone. The mailman, the hot dog vendor, Old Man Jenkins, it could literally be anyone. But what if I told you that the biggest spy of all isn't some random side character? It's one of the main characters of the show. Someone who's been there from the very beginning. Someone who's not even from Bikini Bottom. Someone who's not even from the ocean. That's right. Sandy Cheeks. Sandy Cheeks is the thrill-seeking, scientific squirrel from Texas who lives underwater in her tree dome. But why did she come to Bikini Bottom? In the episode Chimps Ahoy, we find out she was hired by a group of chimpanzees to come underwater and create inventions. But why does she need to be underwater to make inventions? She could have just as easily have made any of her inventions on land. It must be extremely expensive to maintain a giant dome of air underwater. There is no way the only reason she's here is to make random inventions. I think this whole episode is an elaborate ruse to throw off the other characters from the real reason Sandy is in Bikini Bottom. To spy on the main characters and make sure the show stays on track. Many of the times the characters are in danger, Sandy conveniently steps in to save the day, and many of the wacky, entertaining episode plots are driven by an invention Sandy creates. Everything she does is a calculated move to carry out the hidden agenda of the filmmakers. Her entire friendship with SpongeBob and the other characters is built on a lie. But you're probably saying, Sandy is a sweet, friendly squirrel. There's no way she's behind this. You're not convinced yet? That's okay. Because what I'm about to show you is so mind-blowing, so insanely revealing, that it's actually the whole reason I decided to make this video. Get ready for the big one. Season 10, Episode 10, Feral Friends, is the episode that unlocks this entire mystery. During a birthday party, a green moon suddenly appears and turns everyone except Sandy into less evolved, real-life versions of themselves. Sandy is completely caught off guard by this and decides to call someone for help. And take a guess who she calls.
Hello, French narrator speaking.
Hey, Frenchie! It's me, Sandy!
Ah, Sandy Cheeks. How is it hanging?
Oh, it's not hanging too good, Frenchie. You see, there's this...
Don't say another word. I have been monitoring the behavior of the green moon all day.
Huh, yeah, I guess that's a pretty interesting clip, yeah. Holy shit! Sandy literally calls the narrator to let him know what's going on and asks for instructions on what to do next. She has been working with him the entire fucking time. He even has a picture of her on his desk. This is where I originally planned on ending the video, but there is still one small issue with the television theory. Just one nagging plot hole that contradicts everything. If this is all a television show filmed by scuba divers, then how are we seeing inside the buildings? It's not like any of the humans filming the show could fit inside them. It's the one annoying thing that keeps this theory from being complete. I mean, the most logical explanation is that they have hidden cameras inside of everyone's homes, but we never really see anything like that. Holy shit. Season 6, Episode 24, Truth or Square. The SpongeBob 10th Anniversary Special where they reveal lots of stuff about the characters. But the most damning piece of evidence comes from when the characters get lost in the Krusty Krab vents and end up in a room full of monitors showing live footage of all of their homes.
Oh! My house is on TV!
All of our houses are on TV.
Gary the Snail, you get down from that bed this instant!
Hey, there's my house!
Look, it's Sandy!
And who is the character responsible for all of these hidden cameras?
Mr. Krabs, why do you have cameras watching us?
Oh, well, I just want to make sure you all floss after every meal.
Thank you, Mr. Krabs. Dental hygiene is very, very important.
Dental hygiene? Eugene, you lying bastard. Of course he would sell out his friends for a quick buck. And if there's any part of you that thinks there's some chance Mr. Krabs has all these hidden cameras for some other reason, then take a look at what happens next.
Hey, who are those guys?
I think it's us, Patrick. But who are they?
Alright, they're not even trying to hide it anymore. A cameraman and a boom operator have been following around the characters this entire time. And just like the gorilla, as soon as they get seen, they make a run for it. The case is closed.
Welcome to Skin Theory.
On a couple of Class A suckaroonies.
If you want arms like these...
All right. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Before we can truly appreciate what's going on here, we need to firmly grasp the first principle. Here it is again. Now, this analogy isn't really something we think about when we watch the show, but it's always there, and it's very important. There are a whole bunch of examples that can illustrate this point, but one in particular stands out as especially striking, specific, and deeply disturbing. Everybody remembers Dying for Pi. It's an all-time classic episode from Season 2. Personally, I think this is one of the best SpongeBob episodes ever written. Right up there next to Band Geeks and Chocolate with Nuts. It's got tons of witty dialogue and iconic moments, but you might not even realize that it also has one of the most disturbing moments in cartoon history. But anyway, the scene we're talking about occurs while Squidward is attempting to help SpongeBob complete a list of fun bonding activities.
Well, the first thing I want to do is show my best friend Squidward to everybody in town. Hi there, this is my best friend Squidward. Hey kids, check it out. This is my best friend Squidward. Hi, I want to show you my best friend Squidward.
Hey, Frank. Glad that's over.
Good, because we're on to our next activity.
Which is?
I'm going to show my best friend Squidward to everyone in town wearing a salmon suit.
You're gonna be wearing a salmon suit?
Ah, that's a good one, Squidward. Next!
So this scene might have struck you as a little strange when you first watched it, but in reality it should strike you as downright horrifying. And here's why. SpongeBob SquarePants is a show about fish and undersea creatures. No surprise there. But these aren't real fish. They're interpretations of fish. And in these particular interpretations, they're meant to serve as parallels to human beings. After all, if it was accurate to how sea creatures actually looked and behaved, the show would look something like this. Riveting. So anyway, in order for the show to work, Bikini Bottom needs to be a nearly perfect parallel of human society. For instance, we see things like boatmobiles, shell phones, and Krabby Patties, and our mind immediately jumps to the real-world parallel that these objects are clearly referring to. In this case, it's a car, a cell phone, and a hamburger. But the same premise applies to broader concepts about society as well. For instance, just like how our society runs on a currency system, where people exchange cash and work jobs to earn money, the same is true in Bikini Bottom. And just like how our society employs a criminal justice system, the same is true in Bikini Bottom. And lastly, our society uses relatable humor as a form of leisure, and so does Bikini Bottom. For example, if someone does something funny in Bikini Bottom, that same action should be equally funny if it were to occur in human society. And from this, it also follows that unacceptable behavior in Bikini Bottom would be considered unacceptable behavior in human society. So far, this should all just be common sense. And this is where things get disturbing. Salmon is a type of fish. Now, to us, fish are just fish. You know, simple animals who are caught and eaten every day. No big deal. But to the citizens of Bikini Bottom, fish are people. Fish are their friends, their neighbors, their family. Fish are literally everywhere they look. So when Squidward puts on this horrifying suit of a salmon, the kids aren't just seeing a funny pink costume, they're seeing a complete stranger walk up to them wearing the naked skin of someone they probably know. I mean, this kid even looks like a salmon. What if he is a salmon? What if his whole family is a bunch of salmon? Think about how disturbing that would be for him. This costume is not okay. It's beyond messed up to think that Squidward would actually do this. Let me put this another way. What would you do If you and your friends were walking in a park one day, just minding your own business, when suddenly a stranger comes up out of nowhere and oh, what do you know? He's literally wearing the loose, severed skin of a naked human being. Are you kidding me? And what if he tried to talk to you? I mean, that's probably why they're throwing rocks. Squidward looks like he just murdered somebody. Seriously, this is like Silence of the Lambs, but worse. This is supposed to be a kid's show. Oh, but wait. That's not even as bad as it gets, because this isn't actually what a salmon looks like. And I'm not talking about the animation style. I'm talking about the color. Now, I know most of you have probably eaten salmon before, and yes, it's always been this kind of off-pink color, but really think about that for a second. That's how it looks on your plate after it's been cleaned, filleted, and cooked. So on the inside, yes, salmon meat is pink. But what about the outside? What do real salmon look like? Salmon who are actually alive. Gray. They look gray. In reality, you need to cut the skin off before any pink parts even begin to show, which means Squidward's salmon suit isn't only the naked, hideously deformed representation of a sentient member of Bikini Bottom society, it's also supposed to be a salmon that has had all of its outer skin sliced off. Holy sh**. Hopefully now you're beginning to see how some of the most harmless moments from SpongeBob SquarePants can completely collapse in the blink of an eye. So the salmon suit is a great moment to analyze, but it's only one instance, and one instance isn't enough to support an entire theory. That's why I've compiled dozens of unique moments, all pulled from a variety of episodes, which you are about to see. But before that, just keep a few things in mind. First, all the clips you're about to see have been taken from seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4. And as you might know, SpongeBob SquarePants is currently on its 12th season. This will be explored later. Secondly, you're about to see a ton of clips, but it's very possible that even more exist out there which have yet to be discovered. Third, the criteria for what makes something an instance of skin theory is intentionally open-ended. Each one is going to be different from the last. And lastly, as you watch, try not to think of these as individual moments that exist on their own, but rather as connected pieces that all appear in the context of one another, becoming more significant when considered as a whole. Okay, here we go.
I can't go anywhere ever again. Stupid.
Wow, it sure is dark in here. Look, Mr. Krabs, I'm you.
SpongeBob, you're a genius.
Well, I'm glad you got my point.
So right off the bat, we got SpongeBob climbing into Mr. Krabs' body. And this scene might be humorous when viewed on its own, but when you watch the episode again with skin theory in mind, it kind of changes. This reference is about as cut and dry as it gets. I mean, he literally wears Mr. Krabs. But believe it or not, this isn't the only time that Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob have switched bodies.
Mr. Krabs, some guy in a suit wants to come in before we open.
What? Guy in a suit? No! It's a tax collector! Hey there, SpongeBob! Now we'll walk nonchalantly to the rear exit.
He's got a card. R.A. Penny Pincher Vending Supplies.
What? My machine has arrived? Oh, let him in!
They also do it in the episode Skill Crane, although this time the roles are reversed. Next, we have a moment that comes from one of SpongeBob's all-time classics, No Weenies Allowed.
I had a bowl of nails for breakfast this morning.
Yes, so?
Without any milk.
Right this way. Sorry to keep you waiting. Welcome to the Salty Spittoon. How tough are you?
How tough am I?
Wow.
Got any more tattoos?
The deeper we go here, the more examples you're going to see where one character has parts of their skin ripped off and then reapplied as if nothing happened. Granted, if there were only a handful of these weird moments throughout the show, they probably wouldn't be worth mentioning. But as you'll see, there are just way too many of them to ignore. For example,
Oh, Squidward, could you hold me? I think I'm gonna be sick.
SpongeBob! Newsflash, SpongeBob. I got fired too. This is exactly why we need to go on strike. He can't treat us like this anymore.
And another one.
Feeling better?
No.
How about now?
Nope.
How about now?
And another one.
Hi, I'm very ugly, but you should enjoy the movie anyway.
So how much of that woman's face do you actually think was real? Hopefully none of it, because if it was real, then apparently we just saw SpongeBob give a complete stranger third-degree burns. Now that's brutal.
Finally, victory is mine. I win! I win! I win!
He got away, sir.
No! He's finally stolen me secret recipe.
Perhaps not, Monsieur Krabs, for it's SpongeBob SquarePants!
So SpongeBob rips off all his skin to reveal another identical-looking SpongeBob underneath. So this immediately raises two questions. First, why? And second, how can we know that this second version of SpongeBob isn't actually just another layer of skin? What if he's wearing 3 of those costumes? What if he's wearing 4? What if every single time we ever see SpongeBob, he's actually just wearing this costume, and in reality, he doesn't even look like this at all? I mean, there could be anything underneath there.
What the barnacle is going on?
Get away from me! Get away!
What are you talking about, Puff?
You can't fool me! You're SpongeBob and that guy who likes the chili.
Continuing with the theme of tearing someone's skin off, this scene is actually pretty shocking. If you're not familiar with the episode, you might be wondering what could have possibly caused the peaceful Mrs. Puff to act in such a violent way. Well, if we just rewind the clip a few seconds, you'll see exactly why.
Guys, they're back!
What's all the hubbub, Puff?
They're back!
Mrs. Puff, it's us.
Right, that's why. Because SpongeBob and Patrick literally walked right past her moments ago wearing full-body skin costumes of prison guards. Also, how did SpongeBob and Patrick change their voices so well?
What's all the hubbub, Puff?
This next example is one of my favorites, partly because of how much it made me laugh as a kid, and also partly because of how ridiculously absurd it all seems now.
Man, these patties sure are delicious. I wonder what's in that secret formula.
Code 12! Code 12! Your disguises can't fool me this time, Plankton!
Everyone at the Head Enhancement Clinic said nobody would notice.
When did this show become Scooby-Doo?
This is the end of the mystery. Well, well, if it isn't our old friend Bluestone the Great.
Seriously, this moment is so abrupt and absurd, it leaves me dumbfounded. I mean, I love it, I think it's hilarious, but it leaves me dumbfounded. Let's consider the language he uses here.
Everyone at the Head Enhancement Clinic said nobody would notice.
The Head Enhancement Clinic. Really? The Head Enhancement Clinic? Wouldn't it have been easier for him to have just said, the costume store or the mask shop? No, for some reason the writers decided that he would specifically reference something called the Head Enhancement Clinic, which is apparently a real place that exists somewhere in Bikini Bottom. That's insane. So you're telling me that body modification at a surgical level is so common for undersea creatures in SpongeBob SquarePants that they actually have a fully dedicated, standalone medical clinic for handling it? Really? But even then, it's not a full body modification clinic. It's specifically a head enhancement clinic. So they only deal with heads? What about all the other body parts? Doesn't this imply that there must be other clinics out there too, which cater to things like hands, feet, torsos, etc.? It does, and there's proof for that too. Just look at this guy again. He has to have visited at least a few of those other clinics too, because the color of his arms is totally different from the color of his actual skin. They aren't even close. So not only is the head fake, but so is his entire body. How many surgeries do you think this guy has had? And how many clinics do you think Bikini Bottom has?
Well, I like it. Let's do it again.
Okay.
F is for frolic through all the flowers. U is for ukulele. N is for nose picking, sharing gum and sun licking here with my best buddy.
Wait, did you catch that? Look at this nose shop. Do they seriously sell severed human noses? I mean, these things aren't even fish noses. They clearly belong on a human being. So why does this shop exist? And notice how the show only stays on this image for a fraction of a second. That's incredibly quick. Maybe they're flashing it by you so fast, because if they linger on it and the audience really gets to think about what they're seeing, people will start asking questions.
Sassy, wait! Victory is yours.
I knew you'd come to your senses, SpongeBob.
Speaking of shops that sell body parts, SpongeBob was able to find a fake tongue that not only looks and feels real, but is apparently functional enough to allow him to speak perfectly while it's in his mouth. Nice.
Anyone can be a big shot in a hit town like Bikini Bottom. Oh, is that so? Let's hear what you've accomplished since high school, Squiddy. Don't be intimidated, Squidward. Try to imagine him in his underwear. Oh no, he's hot!
Wait, this is what Squilliam looks like in his underwear? He has a muscled human torso with fingers?
I was born with glass bones and paper skin. Every morning I break my legs, and every afternoon I break my arms. At night, I lie awake in agony until my heart attacks put me to sleep. Oh, no! No! Ow.
Quick, Patrick, let's help him. Careful. Put him down gently. Oh. Poor man. If there's anything we can do to help you.
There is one thing. As you can well imagine, my medical bills are extremely high. But luckily I'm able to keep myself alive by selling chocolate bars. Such nice boys. It does my heart good to con a couple of Class A suckaroonies like those two.
So here's my first question. If he's going to cover up his whole body for this bandage disguise, why doesn't he just use actual bandages and just wrap that around his body? That would look way more convincing, and it would probably be a hell of a lot cheaper and easier to find. But no, for some reason this guy just happens to own a full body suit that includes, among other things, functioning eyeballs. So there are a lot of absurd moments in SpongeBob SquarePants where the show seems to really take a serious dive off the deep end. And usually those moments are hilarious. But every fan will agree that one of the most absurd moments of all time has to be the final 2 minutes from I Had an Accident in Season 3. Towards the end of the episode, Sandy and Patrick hatch a ridiculous plan.
Don't you have to be stupid somewhere else?
Not until 4.
To lure SpongeBob out of his house by getting Patrick to pose as a violent gorilla.
No, really! You gotta come save me!
Hey, Sandy! Who's your friend?
But you're supposed to be in the gorilla suit.
I am in the gorilla suit. I thought I was doing a pretty good job.
If you're Patrick, then who's that? Ah, a real gorilla?
Huh?
Man, there are a lot more zipper suits in this show than I remember. Where's everybody buying them? And how did the gorilla get one that looks exactly like Patrick? I mean, I can understand Patrick's gorilla suit because, hey, even people in human society want to dress up like a gorilla sometimes. There's nothing wrong with that. But Patrick? A full body costume of Patrick Star? Why does this suit exist? Is there a store somewhere that sells exact replica skins of every single citizen of Bikini Bottom that anybody can rent out anytime they like? Honestly, that would explain a lot. Oh god, and don't even get me started on the real gorilla. I can't even imagine how they came up with this idea in the writer's room. They convinced a real person to put on a full-body gorilla suit and then shoot him in live action with voiceover dub. You have to be insane to even think of this stuff. And the immediate logical question that comes up is actually exactly what SpongeBob says next.
You know what I don't understand, though? What? What's a gorilla doing underwater in the first place?
Well, it's funny you should... I mean, see, George, they're onto us!
Let's get out of here.
Side note, the voice for the gorilla in this episode is actually renowned voice actor Frank Welker. If that name doesn't sound familiar, don't worry, you definitely know him. In fact, you've already heard his voice in this exact video.
Hey, listen to this, gang. Teenage sleuths solve boat hijacking mystery.
That's right, Fred.
Well, I'd say check on him if it weren't for the fact that we were warned to stay in our rooms.
Frank Welker has been the voice of Fred Jones in nearly every single animated version of Scooby-Doo since 1969. So the guy who is constantly pulling weird masks off of costumed monsters is actually the voice of the costumed monster. This might be the single greatest stroke of irony that has ever been written. Would it be too crazy to think that this might be the writer's way of hinting at skin theory? Perhaps. Anyway, forget the gorilla. What is a horse doing underwater? You know what would be crazy? What if the voice actor for George the Horse was also somehow related to skin theory? Now that would be cool. But there's no way that the writers would have added two insanely deep ironic references, right?
Wrong!
Of course they did. Of course they did. George the Horse is voiced by none other than D. Bradley Baker, another renowned voice actor who is known for, among other things, portraying one particular role on American Dad.
Hey, I have an idea. You could put my brain back into a human body, and I could get a job and earn some money for the family.
Klaus, the talking fish. The talking fish. Are you kidding me? First it's Fred, and now it's Klaus in the same scene. How many levels of irony were these writers on when they made this episode? Seriously, this is the kind of thing you should point to when people say it's just a kid's show. There are no double meanings or deep messages. These meta references are real, and they were light years ahead of their time. These writers might very well have been clinically insane, but they were genius.
Some people are even late on Sunday. Hi, male face.
I don't think I even need to say anything about this. I mean, just look at it. The more times you watch it, the less sense it makes. This has absolutely nothing to do with the plot, and even when you consider it on its own, it's not even really that humorous. It's just weird. It's just kind of there. I mean, I guess it's a little funny, mainly because of how random it is, but even then, the show just kind of hits you with it out of nowhere and then quickly moves on to something else. It doesn't get much more bizarre than that. Oh, but it does. It always does. This whole episode is just weird all around. I remember seeing it sometimes as a kid, but way more rarely than the other episodes from Season 1. I imagine it had something to do with this hideous mess of SpongeBob shaped like a snail.
Meow! Meow! Meow!
Yeah, that snail monster is pretty disturbing, but that's not even close to how disturbing this guy is. I'd be shocked if you even remember him. After all, he only appeared for like 30 seconds in the middle of the episode. Supposedly, he's a pet doctor that comes to SpongeBob's house to give Gary an injection of snail plasma. So you might be asking, what's so bad about that? Well, see for yourself.
Oh, no. I'm too squeamish.
What the hell is this? What is wrong with his arms? Is this actually how the animators chose to draw him? I swear I did not edit this. His face is clearly purple, and for the most part resembles a regular fish, but for some reason his arms are brown? And he has fingers? Why? Why do they do this? There's just no logical reason that this particular fish should get drawn with fingers. Unless you consider skin theory, of course, in which case it makes perfect sense. Anyway, there's also the question of his arms being a completely different color from his face. I mean, they aren't even close. And I'm no professional animator, but there's just no way that this can be chalked up to a simple coloring mistake. He's either a purple fish who's wearing brown arm covers, or he's a brown fish who's wearing a purple face mask. But then again, what if there was a third option? What if, and hear me out, what if he isn't a fish at all? We're going to have to come back to this later. But in the meantime, we've still got one more example to go. So, at this point, you've seen over 24 clips from different episodes of SpongeBob that span 4 whole seasons of the show. No matter how skeptical you might be, you can't deny that these references are unusually frequent. Way above the threshold for any other children's cartoon at the time. There's only one more episode I want to look at before we go into the explanations behind skin theory. And this one is dedicated to the hardest of hardcore skeptics out there. You might be thinking, these examples are weird, but at the end of the day, they're only individual moments, and I still need something bigger to convince me. So, what would it take? Perhaps a full episode where the entire plot revolves around fish that are wearing skins? Maybe. But then again, there is no episode like that. There's no way that the writers of such a beloved children's cartoon would allow something so devious and subversive to make it on TV. Right? Right?
Wrong!
Oh, yes. Muscle Ball Buff Pants is another classic from the early days of Season 1. And just by picturing the episode in your head, you probably know what I'm about to say. 2 words. Anchor arms. They're giant, inflatable, skin-like appendages that anyone can wear. Seriously, it doesn't get any more black and white than that. The whole episode literally revolves around SpongeBob wearing skin and pretending to be something that he's not. And the funny part is, his trick actually works. The other fish totally buy it, as if these enormous, laughably discolored arms are somehow realistic. Are they actually that dumb? Perhaps. But what if they're actually aware that SpongeBob is using false arms? And they're just not saying anything because it's so normal for people in this society to see other people dressed up in skin. Also, how do anchor arms grow hair? And how do they become veiny? Notice how he never mentions the actual material that these things are made of? So what are they made of? What if these things are made of actual skin? At this point, I wouldn't even be surprised. But wait, let's go back to that television commercial. There's something about it that might actually be more bizarre than anything you've seen thus far. I'll play the whole thing again, so watch carefully and see if you can find what I'm talking about.
Ow. Ow. Ow.
Hey! Hey, you! Whippy, whippy, whippy. Oh, I'm a little peanut worm. Are you too much of a whip to work out? Are you a weakling? Built like a sponge? Well, now you too can have muscles.
Huh?
With anchor arms! They slip on like a glove. Just add air. How big do you want them? Normal? Veiny? And for the ladies, hairy. I was a wimp before anchor arms. Now I'm a jerk and everybody loves me. So order now, wimps.
Wow.
Did you catch it? Right here. Who is this supposed to be exactly? Are you telling me that this shark used to look like this? How? There's so many things wrong with this transformation, I could make an itemized list.
If you've made it this far, I think it's also important to note that the world of SpongeBob has a secret society that governs the reality run by dolphins, which is why any censoring or curse words are replaced with dolphin sounds, which to me further proves the reality show theory. There was an episode of South Park that also explored a similar concept. There are more connections, but this video is already an hour long, so I will continue these ideas in our Toxic Plasma series. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe.
Functioning.
Why do you put them into people's asses? Are you planning some kind of alien takeover?
Oh, heavens no! We're a production company. We make intergalactic television programs that the whole universe watches.
Television?
We at Nerzod Productions started 20 billion years ago with one philosophy. The best universal television isn't scripted, it's real. We started with great shows like Who Wants to Marry a Gelgamek and Antares 6 Millionaire. And then we had a big hit with Get Me Out of Here, I'm a Kliglenian. But then of course there's our signature show, the greatest universal reality show of all time.
Earth?